Hi, my name is Emily and welcome to Need for Speed Tip Videos. Today we're talking about tack, and right now we're going to talk a little bit about protective boots for you and your horse when you're competing in any speed event or gymkhana. The first we have is bell boots. These will protect your horse, especially if you are putting shoes, front or back sets. If your horse tends to forge, which means knock itself, especially because you're going to be running at high speeds, doing tight turns, and sometimes horses catch themselves. And so these are protective for the back of the heel. Next, we're going to talk about protective leg wear. You can always utilize things like polo wraps or different types of overall protective boots. A lot of people know these as SMBs, sports medicine boots. And not only, they offer a couple different types of protection. One is they have like an inside insert that's usually padded and a little bit more hard casing. And that's to protect the inside splint area in case your horse catches itself. They also offer support to the whole tendon structure in the leg. They can really fit underneath the fetlock, be fastened the right way. Now if you don't know how to put a boot on the correct way, because they do have to be on particular legs and you want to make sure they're enough fit that they're going to stay on and not slide down, you might want to ask for help with someone who has experience with putting these on until you feel comfortable doing it yourself. But you're really going to make sure they support that tendon complex, and they're going to offer the support that your horse needs when it's really dipping down in those low turns and high speed events. Next, we're going to take a real quick look at some bridle options. And when I say bridle, that's going to incorporate your head stall, your bit that you choose to use with your horse in any kind of speed event or when you're working at home, and also your reins. Now the biggest change over for contesting or speed event like gymkhana is typically your reins, because you're not going to want long, loose reins. You're going to want to have control more right at hand, and that's usually typically shorter contesting reins like these. And people are even known to knot them up until you get the right level for basically your horse's conformation and where you're sitting in your saddle and placement, so that when you pick up, you are right there in your horse's mouth and you can do a nice sensitive pressure to make them responsive to turns or however you need to guide them. What you don't want is you don't want so much rein that you're having to pull way up high or way to the side and you're losing that timing to be in time with your horse around those barrels and poles. You also just want to be careful that it's not too short so that you're not constantly getting pressure in your horse's mouth and they learn to kind of ignore that pressure on the bit. When we're actually looking at bits and head stalls, typically you'll just see your Western head stall with the brow band and the cheek pieces, not typically a nose band, though some people do prefer to use tie downs and nose bands of sorts. And bit is usually a personal preference and what works for you and your horse most. But always give it a try to try the simplest first. If you need a little bit more leverage or pressure because you're going so fast and the horses get excited, you can even move up to something with a shank. And that's something that has a purchase and a shank dropping down. The longer the purchase and the longer the shank and the more angle to it, usually the more pressure it can put on. So you just want to be aware of that. You can get ones that are solid across, different types of ports where there's a little up and down in the bit, or you can get a broken action like a regular snaffle. Thank you for watching our video, and we hope to see you at Need for Speed.